All right, we got some breaking news right now out of California. These are live pictures. There are cars that are being brought up from this canal right now as we are watching. This is a live operation. This is a crime scene operation taking place right now in California.
I gotta put her on hold. This is this is the vehicle in question right here. And they're all around the vehicle. I gotta go back to Nancy because I don't want to get in trouble.
Suspect Jose Rodriguez, the last person seen with little Juliani Cardenas, is possibly in one of these vehicles. They have to pull up 3 cars, we understand, because they were so intertwined.
Cardenas.
You can see right there a vehicle being pulled up out of 50 feet of water. These dive teams have risked their lives to go into this canal that has suction that can be extremely dangerous. And as you see in California, nightfall is taken hold. It is difficult to see the color of the car. I want to go out to Ellie Josted, Nancy Grace, producer. Remind us of the vehicle that we believe Jose Rodriguez was driving.
Right. He was driving a silver Toyota Corolla. It had distinctive rims. It had low-profile tires, and it had large aluminum rims on this car. Now, one of the things they mentioned about how murky this water is, the divers can't even see the color of the car until they're right up next to it. So very difficult conditions they're working with here.
And as we told you, the sheriff had told us at the beginning of the show that they had to pull up 3 different cars because they were so intertwined. And as you saw, one was just pulled up. I couldn't quite catch the color because of the darkness there in California. But now it looks like that a tow truck of type may be taking that vehicle. I want to go to Pat Brown, criminal profiler, joining us tonight out of Washington, D.C. Your take on what we are watching live, Pat?
Oh, Jean, I also don't think it's going to be a happy ending. I think what happened is Tabitha ran into a man with borderline personality disorder. And that kind of person has a huge chip on their shoulder and a big, huge pit that never can be filled. So he may be friendly. He may look like he wants to have a relationship and kids. But when you try to do that with him, he always finds something's going wrong. And he thinks he's being disrespected. And he thinks he's not getting enough attention. And he thinks he's being wronged. He lost his job recently. He's lost his relationship with his girlfriend. He thinks he's lost his chance to parent those 2 children. He feels like a big loser, and this kind of man, when that happens, often wants to get even. He thinks that Tabitha's going to get the 2 kids, and she's going to be happy, and he's going to get nothing, and he's going to suffer. So he wants to even the score. She gets 1 kid, he gets 1 kid, and they both suffer equally. And it's really, really sad.
And once again, everybody, these are live pictures coming to us out of California right now. A dive operation has just pulled up at least 1 vehicle we have seen being taken over. This operation continues with divers and massive equipment to get these vehicles up and out of 50 feet of water. To Bill Majeski, former NYPD detective, joining us tonight from New York. You know, my first thought is that if this is a suicide, homicide, there will never be a prosecution because both are deceased, but there could only be 1 person in this vehicle. It could have been a situation to just end the life of the little boy. Jose Rodriguez could still be alive. So we are watching potential evidence that could come into a courtroom.
Yeah, as you mentioned, it's a live crime scene. But as I mentioned before, I think that the police have done a pretty thorough investigation up to this point in time. And their primary focus seems to be on this vehicle itself. So they probably know a lot more about what is possibly in the vehicle. This is a diver here. Again, hopefully the child is not there. But if both bodies are there, it's going to be a sad day for the entire family. If the child is not in the vehicle and Jose is not in the vehicle, then the investigation goes live again, and all that information that they've gathered up to this point in time. The mother did mention something about relatives in Mexico. And again, he must have said something to somebody in those days leading up to his abduction of the child.
Bill, I want to interrupt you for just a second because we've seen a white vehicle pull up to the scene right here. And I'm wondering, in your experience, what do you think it may be? A type of crime lab, a law enforcement command post vehicle? What are your thoughts?
Well, clearly there are technicians on the scene in anticipation of finding something in the vehicle. And if there is nothing, if there are no bodies in the vehicle, then it's still a crime scene because there's going to be a lot of forensic evidence in there, or perhaps other clues that may lead further along the investigation. But they're going to be approaching it in a very a cautious manner and a very careful manner as not to destroy any potential evidence that may exist there.
And you are looking at live pictures. This is a very active scene. We saw them pull up one vehicle. It doesn't appear as though they're pulling up another one at this point, but have pulled in this white trailer to forensically or investigative-wise look at something. To Dr. Radha Mikulanemi, joining us, Doctor of Internal Medicine, if bodies would be in that vehicle, how preserved or not preserved would they be in the last week?
Those bodies have been submerged in water, if they are there, for approximately 10 days or so. The water is colder, so they're going to be a little bit more preserved than if this had occurred on land. That being said, they were submerged in water, so externally the skin is going to be very wrinkled and bloated, and there is going to be some separation at the nail beds and so forth. So there are going to be changes that are specific to decomposition that occurs underwater.
All right, and this is a very critical point in time, everyone. The sheriff of Stanislaus County has joined his team right now as they appear to be looking at the vehicle that has retreated. Is that the vehicle right there? Pat Brown, criminal profiler, do you believe that is the vehicle right there that investigators are surrounding?
Well, that's certainly going to be, if it's the same color as it's supposed to be, I mean, that's what they're focused on, and that's what they want to get to, most of all, so I would guess so.
To me, that looks like a silver vehicle. Pat, what do you think?
No, I'm with you there.
All right, and we know that is a silver vehicle. I want to go out to Brian Russell, forensic psychologist. It's believed that Jose Rodriguez was on drugs, possibly methamphetamines. What does that do to a mind to do an act like this? Because we know his car is being retrieved from that canal right now.
Well, that's a great question. It certainly doesn't make somebody commit kidnapping or murder-suicide, but what it might do is be indicative of the fact that this is a person capable of that. Nobody snaps, Gene, and there are always signs, and as we're already looking back, we can see that this was a chaotic, violent, drug-abusing guy who, I'm a child custody expert, and any time you have somebody who feels a parental connection to a child is being lost, you cannot discount the possibility that that person will become violent, either directly just towards the kid or towards the kid and themselves.
Okay, it appears as though the sheriff is going to speak, but I'm not sure if Nancy's going to have it or not. So, we'll see what happens.